Hello, everyone. Welcome to the Food Explorer podcast. My name is Colleen, and this week we are a few days before Christmas. And you know what that means? That means that all of the chocolatiers will finally get to sit down and put their feet up. It's been an interesting 2023. So what I want to do with this episode is a couple of things. I want to take a little look at 2023 and then a look forward to 2024 and what's kind of coming up next year. But also, I wanted to talk a little bit about sort of this last push last week and what I'm seeing in the food industry right now. And, you know, some of it's good and some of it's not so great. So let's start with that. First things first, I'm actually drinking some chamomile tea right now. I tell ya, y'all, I forgot how much I love a good chamomile tea. It's really lovely. So I got some tea from Jolene's Tea House. No, this episode is not sponsored at all. I just really like her tea, and they are located in Banff, Alberta, in the national park. And I picked this up a couple weeks ago, and it just makes me very happy. So I'm going to drink a little bit of tea while I'm recording this episode, and let me know what's your favorite drink. Like, is there a tea that you love, or a coffee, or a fancy latte? You know, I like a fancy latte. But I thought this would be a great thing to drink tonight. Take a little sip. Delicious. Now, on to the business. And we're actually going to talk about business. So in the last, let me think here, 2 to 3 weeks, I've seen a lot of posts from local business owners and business owners from, you know, outside of the area that I live in, basically saying, hey, we're struggling. Our numbers are down. We are not near our targets. And for a lot of business owners, especially when you think about places like bakeries, businesses like myself that do chocolate, and those types of, you know, food industry people, the November and the December sales are what get us through the really lean months, which is January. For sure, January is the hardest of all the months. I mean, as much as I would love to say everybody wants a ton of chocolate in January, they don't really. They're like, you know what, Santa brought me a lot of chocolate, I'm good. But also, you know, bakeries and places like that, let's face it, people are on the new year, new you health kick, and I applaud you, and I am going to be doing a bit of that myself. I have realized over this past year that the abuse that my body has taken from working as much as I work, and I giggled the other day. A friend of mine, she's a chocolatier as well. There was a group of us chocolatiers chatting on a Instagram chat, and one of the things we started talking about was, I don't think that people realize how hard physically the job is. You know, yeah, I'm not hauling rebar or, you know, building houses and, you know, anything like that, but it is the sheer amount of hours that we're on our feet every day. My chocolate, like the bowls that I would typically pour from, or a couple kilos of chocolate, and maybe you're thinking, oh, a couple kilos, come on. Yeah, after 12 hours of pouring kilos of chocolate, it hurts. And so one of my, look back at 2023's lessons is I've 100% abused my body way too much, and it's now paying the price. I mean, the ankle injury is not healed as well as I would like. I've got a foot injury, blah, blah, blah. You don't care. Or maybe you do care, but I hope you care. But that is all, to say that I am seeing a lot of posts from businesses talking about the struggles, and some of it is the physical toll that the job is taking on them food industry jobs are very hard. I mean, really, in all seriousness, there is a lot of standing every day. You know, when you are doing 6 or 7 days a week, which most of us that, you know, especially people that do chocolate, you're doing 6 to 7 days a week, standing for long hours. It's very hard on the body. It's also just the mental stress. I'll admit, I have fallen apart a lot of times in the last couple of weeks. There has been a lot of crying. But across the board, I'm seeing this theme from other businesses where they are openly talking about the struggles that they're going through. And it's not just the financial struggles, because that is a huge part of it, but then the mental toll that it takes, you know, when you're looking at, okay, so I needed to make this much money in November and December because this is the majority of my sales, and that's going to get me through January, February, March, maybe up to April. Which is the case for us. And now you're looking at it going, ooh, I got enough to get me through January. So I have seen a couple of businesses that their last day is this Friday, which is December 22nd, and they've thrown in the towel, and for good reason. I don't say that in a flippant, like, oh, they just threw in the towel. No. These are businesses that have been struggling for a very long time. Some of them have been very public, and some of them have been very quiet. And it is your business, so you do with it how you want. I've seen some businesses that have reached out to local influencers, sort of celebrities, to be like, can you put the word out there that we're not going to make it? And it is a reality of owning a small business, especially a small food-based business. I always am, how do I put this nicely? Sometimes when I'm at markets, there's this kind of unsaid, how do I even word it nicely? I'm not going to word it nicely. Sometimes some vendors that don't sell food think, oh, all you food people just make tons of money and you sell out every time. And, you know, I'm sitting here with my handmade product and I'm selling hardly anything. It must be nice to sell so much. It is nice to sell a lot at a market, but that's not every market. Now, with that said, we have been incredibly fortunate this particular market season because I really, for a few of the markets that we did, I did not expect good things from them. And that's not anything against the organizers, because the organizers are very lovely. I wasn't sure that people would come and shop. In Canada here, we're definitely, you know, we're in that recession. Money is tight. And I'm so thrilled that people came out to shop as much as they did at the markets that we attended. And that, again, is not across the board. Not all of the markets that have happened over these last few weeks have been good for everybody. So with a huge grain of salt, I say thank you to the organizers and the vendors and the customers. And for those businesses that didn't do well, that sucks. It really sucks because you have put so much time and hard work and energy into your handmade product. And it's not a good feeling when another business doesn't do well. So I think what I'm seeing a trend towards right now at the end of the year is businesses either asking for help, putting out their social media influencer channels to get support, income, you know, money going into the business to get them through those lean months, or the opposite where they're just saying, you know what, we can't do this anymore. And a definite theme in those posts where the businesses are saying we're closing down, it's the combination. It's we struggled for COVID, then we struggled with trying to build our numbers back up again and get our customers back again. Then we got hit with the rising ingredient costs. And now in Canada, many businesses that took the business loans, So there was a program where you could get a $40,000 loan to your business and you only had to pay 10,000 back. So I think you could use 30,000, or it was the opposite. You could use 10,000, but you had to pay 30 back. One or the other. Regardless, the payments are due now, and the people that took the loans don't have the money to pay back. And so that has been another theme. And I talked about in episode 2, about Chartier, one of the restaurants that was set to close. And a big thing that they talked about was that they were called CEBA loans, CEBA. They were called CEBA loans in Canada. And, the loans were due. And, time's up. Time to pay Piper. And, the funds were not there to do it. Now, I did not report on this, but an angel investor, I guess I would call an angel investor, stepped forward and has saved Chartier. So that is the restaurant in Beaumont. That is a French-Canadian restaurant. And one of the things when they were moving towards closing was they had opened up a satellite hub of their baked items, because Chartier had a very prolific and delicious bakery as part of their restaurant. And so now they have those sort of two streams of income coming in, but again, still very challenging right now. So as you are looking back at 2023 and maybe you're thinking about some of the restaurants that you've loved, did they survive? Did they not survive? Did you have like a favorite cookie, donut, ice cream place, chocolatier that just didn't make it? And I mean, off the top of my head, I can think of a dozen different businesses here where I live that didn't make it. One of them just posted today. They're at a city. It's a very small city, maybe more of a town, not far away from where I live. And they just posted today that they're done. They're done on Friday. And, 6 years in business, definitely a community hub. Every time I would go in there when I was in that city, it was the old guys, and these guys, they were older gentlemen, and they would go to the coffee shop every day, and it was their socializing time, and it was where they hung out with each other, and it was really sweet to see the same group of gentlemen supporting the business every day. So that's, it's sad. It's sad to see. It was a really lovely husband and wife team that were running it was a coffee shop, but it was also like a little cafe. And, and again, like just what I cited earlier was, sort of this three things that piled upon each other and created this, basically hole that they couldn't get out of. And, when you're running a business that's running itself into the ground, not because you're mismanaging it, but just because there's just so many things acting against you, it can be a real big challenge. With that, I'm thinking about the things that worked and did not work for the business for me this year. Let me just grab some tea while I get on to this next topic. Oh, it's so good. Oh, it's so good. I wish you were drinking this tea with me. I wish we were sitting together, having some tea together. Okay, I know I said I was going to do a video episode this week. I didn't. And you know what it is? There's like 2 more days of work before I shut down for a couple of weeks. And today I was thinking, I'm going to do video episode and then it ended up, I was doing the last orders this morning, making the last orders so I could deliver them. And I just kept misreading what was on the orders. So I had made what I thought was on the order, and then I went to package the order, and I was like, what on earth? And then I had to go back, make more chocolate. So by the time I started doing deliveries, it was a lot later in the day than I had anticipated. And then I got out there and I did deliveries, and I was yapping with the customers, and they were all really happy. And then I started lollygagging, and then my day was that was it. It was done. So I ended up coming home from deliveries, and what should have been like a nice, compact, easy day so that I would have had time to record the video episode ended up me working until just before 6 o'clock to get chocolates ready for an event that we have on Friday. So I apologize. I know I said I would do something and then it didn't happen. But it's going to happen because as I've looked back on 2023 and I'm just starting to formulate my thoughts now, and I'll do a much more in-depth process. So last night I started pulling my numbers for these last 2 months and figuring out, what were the big sellers, what were the, losers for sales, formulating the plan for next year. And in January, I'll do a much more in-depth plan where I'll start writing things out for what needs to happen next year and planning. But I started looking at now some of my 2024 goals for this podcast, for the business. And so I'll get that all out. And I don't know if any of you are techie people out there, if you use tech, but I use Trello to track all of the sort of stuff with the podcast and stuff with the chocolate business. And so one of the things that I've put on my agenda for 2024 is to do that a lot more and get, the interviews scheduled with people that I want to interview in person, and have a couple more little things that I want to add to the technology side of things for not only the business, but for the podcast. So that's kind of exciting. I also started thinking about some fun projects for next year. And one of the ones I was thinking about was, and I've never done this before, but I was listening to another podcast today, and it was something that she had, the person that was being interviewed talked about. And she had done a project where she took a cookbook and cooked every recipe in the cookbook over the course of a year. And she said one of the things that she really loved was that the cookbook was actually laid out by season, so it made it a lot easier. And I was like, oh, that's such a smart idea. So I have put that on my brainstorming dump, where I just throw everything together and then sort through what's feasible, what's not feasible. But I put that down as something that I thought would be really fun to do. And I currently actually have numerous cookbooks that go by season. So I'm going to start looking through my cookbooks and figure out if I want to do one whole cookbook through the seasons, or if I want to pick from different cookbooks the seasons. So I'm going to kind of go through and look at that. I have a lot of cookbooks, everyone. I just need you to hear me when I say I have a lot of books. I also have a lot of food books that are memoirs, chef stories, short stories, a lot of chocolate books. I have some really crazy sort of food writing books that are not necessarily recipe books. And so I want to feature some of those next year, because I think that many people don't realize that there's some really amazing books out there. So planning for 2024, that is a project that I'm going to kind of bring forward. And obviously all the different interviews that I want to get doing. And so I really want to plan, because there's a few interviews that are definitely a seasonal thing that I need to look into. So, this is what I want to do. This is the season that will be the best time for the interview. So I thought it would be kind of fun. So a couple of things that are coming up. And then the other thing that I wanted to just quickly say was, it's coming up to the last few days for those of you that are doing your advent calendar day by day, and I am one of them. It's coming up on your last couple days, and I'm wondering if you're sad that it's the last couple days, or you're excited that it's almost over, because then, it's time to open up all the rest of the presents. So let me know where you're at on that. And the last thing is, if you have a cookbook that you love, And maybe you want to follow along with me and kind of challenge yourself to either cook through a cookbook or, look at it seasonally and maybe pick season to season from different books. And you want to come along this journey with me, let me know, because I think that could be really fun as well. We could record an episode together. So it's, again, it's something I didn't really think about doing. And then when I heard this podcast guest today talking about how much fun, her and her husband did it together. And I thought, oh, that's super fun. Now, Jason and I could not do this together because we're like oil and water in the kitchen. And he likes to measure things. And he's that guy, right? He likes to time things and measure things. I'm like, no way, man. Throw it all together. It'll work. So we're not super good with that. And then the other thing that's going to be kind of fun for next year, and this is something that in looking back at 2023 and then forward to 2024, the tasting events. I've got some really cool tasting events coming up, and we actually already have 4 tasting events booked for next year. So that is fantastic because I had kind of put out there into the ether, please give me more tasting events. and they've come. And our Devoured tasting event that's coming up is going to be really exciting. So I just got the book list today. And as I've mentioned before, this is with Daisy Chain Book Company. So she gives me 5 books to read. And then I read those books and I create chocolates. And I already got one of the books today. So she gave me the list today and I already got one of the books. So I'm very excited. So it's all around. I feel a little more energetic right now. I'm sitting in my tasting room. It is not covered in 100 million pieces of detritus from Christmas. I have 2 boxes left. I've got deliveries tomorrow. And then, there's going to be some laying down, some horizontal, watching movies, doing nothing for a couple of weeks. And when I say doing nothing, I'm a worker bee, you guys. I don't just completely stop, but it's definitely going to be take a little bit of time, decompress, start cleaning and organizing, and then planning out the year. So with that, nice short episode again this week. We will be coming back. Next week is Christmas, and I will be going away just for the day to celebrate with my brother's family, so my sister-in-law and all of her family. So I will, of course, see Sloan. So maybe Sloan and I will record a little something. We'll see. We'll see how that goes. Other than that, wherever you're at, whatever time it is that you're listening to this, I hope everything is amazing and you are having a great day, night, evening, afternoon, whatever it is. And I will talk to you again next week. Please subscribe, like, share, do all those things. Tell all your friends. I'm Colleen, and this is the Food Explorer Podcast. It was great to spend a little bit of time with you this week. Thanks, everyone.